Hey, welcome to Talk to Mirror. So, how to make active passive voice? This is an English grammar lesson we are going to discuss today. So, in our initial scene, we have a table, and on table there is a glass. Jenny was playing there, and she suddenly hits the table, and the glass fell down, and suddenly a voice came. What have you done, Jenny? It was Jenny's mother. Jenny replies, I broke the glass. Somebody was listening the noise. He said, what happened? It was Jenny's father. So Jenny replied in a passive tone, the glass was broken by me, Daddy. So this is the basic chart of active passive voice. We shall discuss all the tenses today, and some of the tenses cannot be or are not recommended to convert in passive voice. And why they are not recommended, we shall discuss this. So stay with me on Talk to Mirror. Welcome back. As you know, today we are discussing active and passive voices. So let's begin. First, let's learn why to learn. Why we need to learn active and passive voices. Actually, active and passive voice comes in different type of questions in exams, in almost all English exams, especially including common job exams. By learning this, we can avoid many common mistakes of English conversation. It makes a better grammar. It improves English speaking. So there are some prerequisites for this. For example, you must be well versed with the tenses. And if you don't know, don't worry at all. We have complete English tense training. Just click the link. First of all, we need to avoid common mistakes. There are some misconceptions. For example, you may think that it is just the different courses for identical destination. You may think that this is just like catching your right ear with your right hand or catching your right ear with your left hand. But if we look at these examples where Jenny broke the glass, so here we can see active voice and passive voice. We can see this is almost same. The meaning of sentence is same. But is it really the same? No. There are many changes. For example, the focus is shifted. First, the focus was Jenny, and in passive voice, the focus is on grass. Subject is less important in passive voice. In fact, object is more important. It is used to avoid responsibility. Actually, we can use it to avoid responsibility. In Jenny's case, the responsibility, the glass, is on her, but she tried to avoid it. She might think when her dad asked what happened, she might thought that that can be a trouble for her, a problem for her. So she tried to avoid that trouble, so she used a passive tense. So she was active while her mother asked. In active form, she said, "Yes, I broke the glass." But when she gets passive, she avoids responsibility and she said, "The glass was broken by me, Daddy." There is another misconception. People think, or lots of people think, it's only used in formal language. This is not true. Active and passive voices are used both in formal and informal languages. Let's discuss some rules. There are some general rules. Generally speaking, first of all, after looking at sentences, we have to recognize what is subject, what is verb, and what is object. Then we have to shift object into subject. Then shift subject into object. We have to use by before new subject. And tenses, I mean verb, they have different rules. So in active voice and passive voice, we can see these general rules. Glass was object, and in passive voice now it has shifted from object to subject. I, which was Jenny actually. So Jenny shifted into object. So I becomes me. And broke, which was this verb, it was changed into was broken. There are different rules for tenses. We will discuss them later. There are some tricks. Yes, there are some tricks which you can use to answer the questions of active passive voice in your exams. So, trick number one is if the tense is continuous, then use being plus verb's third form. So if the verb is continuous, if the tense is continuous, while it is present continuous or past continuous, we have to use being plus verb's third form. Look at this example. He is reading a book. It will be converted like a book is being read by him. She was cooking food. Food was being cooked by her. They are building hospital. Hospital was being built by them. Trick number two. If we have has, have, and had in your sentence, means if we have sentences of perfect tenses. perfect tenses of past, present or future, then we have to use been plus verb's third form. So look at the example. We have taken exam. Exam have been taken by us. She has cooked food. Food have been made by her or cooked by her. They had built hospital. Hospital had been built by them. So these were two tricks. This will really help you in your English exams, especially in competitive exams or any government job exams. So let's summarize it. Rule number one is if the tense is continuous, we have to use being plus verb's third form. If there are has, have, and had, we have to use been plus verb's third form. But what about if the tense is simple present, past, or future tense? So there are some different rules. These are a little bit tricky. So we need to pay attention on them. If the tense is simple past tense, then we have a formula to convert that. Means starting from object plus was or were plus verb's third form plus by plus subject. Look at some examples. I made tea. This is simple past tense. Tea was made by me. He drove his car. His car was driven by him. They asked the officers. The officers were asked by them. Now let's talk about simple present tense. Its formula is object plus is mr plus verb's third form plus by plus subject. Let's have some examples. It makes noise. Noise is made by it. You purchase the shoes. The shoes are purchased by you. I study chemistry. Chemistry is studied by me. Now we will talk about simple future tense. Its formula is object plus will be plus verb third form plus by plus subject. He will write application. Application will be written by him. She will read books. Books will be read by her. They will watch YouTube. YouTube will be watched by them. Now let's discuss why The future continuous tense and all the perfect continuous tense cannot be converted into passive voice. Of course, we can convert them, but the process can lose audibility of sentence. This is not logical. This will not look good. For example, look at the sentence. It says, by the end of this year, the building will have been being built for 5 years. It's really confusing. So that's why it is not recommended. So these four sentences are not recommended to convert in passive voice. Now let's talk about a future continuous tense for a bit. Some experts have given a formula to convert it in passive voice. It can be converted in passive voice, but it is not actually recommended. So formula is object plus will be plus being plus verb's third form plus by plus subject. So look at some examples. We can convert it like he will be attending lectures. Lectures will be being attended by him. She will be reading books. Books will be being reading by her. They will be watching YouTube. YouTube will be watched by them. But again, this is not recommended. So these four tenses, including future continuous tense and three tenses of perfect continuous tense, are not recommended to be converted in passive voice. And all perfect continuous tenses, they are completely not recommended.